Bandwidth for Cincinnati Soccer Talk is provided by Cincy Shirts. Get your locally sourced FC Cincinnati MLS merch today by heading over to cincyshirts.com. Wow, do not adjust your TV sets, folks. It is deja vu. Monday night to Tuesday night, we're back at it here for another episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. That comes to you live from the Cincy Shirt Studios on a day that is not, that's not a great day, right? It's not a great day to celebrate anything that happens like what happened today. In case you're just joining us or haven't been aware of what's going on, FC Cincinnati announcing today that head coach Alan Koch has been removed and has been fired by the club. Assistant coach Yohan Demay taking over on an interim basis. So tonight, it's a podcast special. We're going to recap today's events, talk about the press conference, and coming up here in just a few moments, we are going to be joined by the president and general manager of FC Cincinnati, Jeff Berding, here on the King's Hammer Hotline. So for those of you who had a chance to catch last night's podcast today, maybe some of you aren't so surprised at what occurred today, but as we wait and wait to hear from Jeff here in just a few moments, let's welcome in my tag team partners for this evening. This is why I say it's deja vu, because it's like we never left each other. Brad Weigel, although you are at a different spot now, Brad. You're not in your hotel room.
I am on home turf.
But you are here. Well, what did you make of today?
Definitely a very, very interesting decision. I can't say that I'm shocked if you all listened to our show from last night. I think we voiced a lot of frustrations with the style of play coming from FC Cincinnati. So I think that I was shocked as far as the timing. I thought it might have come next week if we didn't get a result at home. But I do tend to key on the fact that it sounds like Alan Koch lost the club. And I think it's important that just looking at the soccer side of things, not talking about the personal side of things, I think that it's important that the club did make this decision because we're still only a couple points off the playoff spot. It gives them an opportunity to bring somebody new in without being too far out of touch of the playoffs, and that summer transfer window coming up gives them time to evaluate some players. So even though I'm sad that it wasn't able to work out with Alan, he's been great to us. He's been open, made the team extremely open to the media. I do think that it was time that the decision made.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Brad. Super thankful for the time he gave us, not just here on our show on Monday nights, but the fact that we had a chance to, visit with him down in Florida for pretty much a whole week and pretty much have wide open access to the team. So I agree with you there. We also have back with us tonight the Wolf Man, Bill Wolf. Bill, you were one of those characters who were there with me for that whole week down in Florida.
Yeah, it was memorable for sure. It was a great time. It was good to be integrated into the team and really get to see how things worked and get to meet people at a more personal level. And it was a great trip. So definitely would love to do that again. Maybe with someone different at the helm.
Yeah. But again, if you're just joining us a little bit late today, that was announced that Alan Koch has been removed as head coach of FC Cincinnati, and going forward on an interim basis is Yohan Demay, who was previously the assistant coach for FC Cincinnati. Well, without further ado, let's welcome in to the show. He is the president and general manager of FC Cincinnati, Jeff Berding, and he joins us now on the King's Hammer Hotline. Jeff, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We always appreciate your time. I know you've been a busy man.
Good to be with you tonight.
Let's talk a little bit about, obviously we know that the decision was made regarding Alan Koch and removing him as head coach. Can you kind of give us a little bit of a timeline on how that decision was made and when exactly you came to the conclusion that this just wasn't going to work anymore?
Well, we're obviously always evaluating the team. And Alan and I have been working very closely together for over 2 years. And I'm going to be fair. For the most part, Alan's been leading the soccer side of our business, picking the players, coaching the players, putting the guys out there in the 18 and be responsible for getting results. Obviously, at the end of the day, I'm responsible and I accept that. I've been pretty focused on getting an MLS expansion bid, building out the front office, getting the stadium planned, getting the Milford Training Center under construction, and Alan obviously has been a key partner. Last year, about a year ago, we added Luke Sassano as the technical director, and really over the course of the year, Luke, Alan, and I worked very closely together. Every single player that's been picked really was led by in a process led by Luke and Alan. We obviously were very proud of our Open Cup run that we had in 2017, and last year winning the USL regular season in record fashion. And I would just offer as a continual process, paying attention to culture, staying as best I could aware of how things were going within the group. And certainly we've had our share of challenges, again, from a culture and team point of view. I want to be clear, I'm not speaking of the results, but there has been a significant deterioration within the culture, within the soccer group. And we did our best to address it, to improve it. But at the end of the day, the culture was not one that was going to lead to success. It was concluded that it wasn't going to change. And at the end of the day, the most important responsibility for a leader is to set the culture. And at that, we made the determination that we had to make the change that was announced today.
You know, Jeff, it's Brad here, and I think we do have to recognize and thank Alan for his service here, for what he did with that Open Cup run in 2017 last year, with that regular season title. You know, he has had a lot of key moments here, and we thank him for that. I kind of want to dig into, and if you don't mind disclosing, you're talking about that culture. Was it that the team maybe his message wasn't getting through? Maybe was there some discontent among some of the players and staff? I don't know if you're able to disclose on kind of what part of that area within that culture failed.
Well, I'm not going to speak with much of a rear view mirror here, but I do want to say it wasn't about the results, but really the underpinnings that leads to results. You're never going to have a successful team, whether it's in business or in sport, where there's a poor culture. You can have great culture and still not get great results, but rarely are you going to have great results when your team is inundated with poor culture. And the thing that we believe universally in Johan is that he's going to bring a positive culture. It's going to be based on trust and respect and accountability for hard work. And he's going to really create that foundation that this year for us and next year is all about building the foundation. And we feel that we give ourselves the best opportunity with the change.
So Jeff, this is Bill. You said you kind of want to start looking forward at this point and not, look in the rearview mirror. So, what's your timeline at this point for hiring a new coach? I mean, are you looking for a solution or not a solution, somebody to step into that role like in the summer transfer window, or do you think Yo is here for the rest of the season, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to state the obvious. The most important responsibility is to get the coach hire right, to get the right person here to create the right culture that will set us up for success. And we feel very confident that Johan DeMay, with the full support of our staff, our technical staff, and our players, that we have the ability to build that foundation and bring a level of success this season. But certainly our goal is to get the permanent coach, as I said, get the hire right, and we'll get it right as quickly as we can, but we're not going to force the issue because we do believe that Johan is a really good caretaker here, and he's excited about the opportunity. He's going to work super hard. So we're not going to set an artificial timeline, but certainly we're going to make sure that this next hire is one that can build a positive foundation, a positive culture, and really maximize the abilities of our players. As I said today, we do believe we have a strong mentality in the locker room. They are led by strong leaders who have won championships. They believe in each other, and they have a unified commitment for our club and to help our club win with our ambition. And so we believe that Johan and the staff will continue to cultivate and build on that and begin to build a little bit of an identity on the field, and allow us, while we go through the process, upon hiring the permanent coach.
So just to be fair, Jeff, I mean, your background isn't like soccer. I mean, you're not a professional coach or tactician or anything. So who
Never
are you
claimed to
relying?
be.
Exactly. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but who are you using, to help you make these decisions? I mean, how involved is Luke in this decision process? Do you have other people you're relying on to help, get this right, so to speak?
Yeah. So obviously Luke's involved, just as he has been. As I said earlier, every player we've signed has been an FC Cincinnati player, but I relied on Luke, and I will always rely on the head coach. I said earlier, if the coach won't put the player on the field, it's not worth signing the player. And that's just my personal belief as the president of the club. So to the question, I have some consultants that are guiding me, that have guided me through this process. These consultants were the folks that found Gary Walker and helped recruit Gary Walker to come from Manchester United, where he was the only sports performance director at Manchester United, and he's bringing his family across the ocean to settle in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he's going to be one of the best, if not the best, sports performance directors in all of Major League Soccer. We're in the process of hiring a youth academy director. We announced yesterday we're going to have the 15s and 17s this August. And we're recruiting some proven academy directors who will be in charge of youth development. And they are the result of this process and our team. And ultimately, so will the head coach. And obviously, we're going to continue to build and grow, and we're going to continue to make changes towards the goal of building a club that our fans can be proud of, that will ultimately bring trophies and make this a championship city that we know it is.
So, we've had some turnover in our 3 and not quite a half seasons, but as a club, you've seen impressive numbers in the crowd. But with some of these job changes on the head coaching role, how still attractive do you feel this job is to potential head coaches?
Well, let me say, I don't make any apologies that we are a club that has high standards and that we put a premium on culture because we think that culture is the underpinning of all success. In terms of a potential coach looking at Cincinnati, well, let's talk about what they have to evaluate. They have an unbelievable ownership group led by Carl Lindner. They have a brilliant 26,000 seat stadium right in the urban core that is going to be one of the best soccer civic stadiums in the league. We have 20,000 season ticket holders and a supporter culture as visualized by that brilliant march into Nippert for our first MLS home match. We have unbelievable business partners led by Mercy Health that provide the resources for us to invest in the stadium, in the franchise, and ultimately in our players. And we have a training center at Mercy Health Training Center in Milford that is near complete. That'll be every bit as good as any in Major League Soccer. And based on my tours of England and Holland, will be among the best, certainly in the world. And I'm not overstating that. So listen, there's a lot to be excited about in Cincinnati. What our supporters have built in an organic manner is second to none. It's a worldwide story of what's happened here in Cincinnati. But there's no question we have high standards, and we're always going to put a premium on culture because we think that is the root of all success. And I will say, and I think I have credibility here, there's no way that our club achieved what we have achieved over the last 3 years without putting a premium on culture. The respect, the trust, the accountability, the embrace of hard work, the purpose and determination to persist and outlast. That's how we've built this club. And we've probably done it a little bit better on the business side over the last few years than at times we've done it on the soccer side. And I have to address that. And ultimately, I'm responsible. And we're going to address it. And I'll own responsibility here. But we're going to get it right on the soccer side as we've done on the business side.
So talking about the soccer side of things, and you said you're going to readdress some things. So I would like to ask you about the organization if possible, because I think a lot of times you preach, especially when Luke came, you preach the triangle. You know, how they would both report to you. And I know it's still early in the process and you know, there may be some big hires out there and they'd want to discuss that, but do you kind of expect that same setup in the triangle where they would both report to you? Or do you think, you know, there might be some changes where maybe that new coach would report straight to Luke Sassano?
I will say this, guys. I think when you have events like today, everyone has to look in the mirror. I challenge that to the players, that we all have to look in the mirror. Have we been contributors to a positive energy and a positive culture, or have we maybe been part of what has led to this point? And so I certainly own that. I do believe that you have to have the GM and the direct, in effect, I'm not using formal titles here, but the head coach and the director of scouting or player personnel. I think whether it's the NFL, I think whether it's the NBA or here soccer, I think that those folks have to work in alignment in terms of what we need in the short term, what we need in the long term. Are we following a standard process? Do we have a key understanding, a clear understanding of what players, prospective players bring, of what our current players can do, and where we may need to get better? You have to have alignment, and we will have alignment. We will have alignment that works. The decision that we announced today was one that focused on the head coach, but I made it clear that we will continue to make changes until we have a program with the appropriate leadership that is working towards building the foundation that sets FC Cincinnati up for success as defined by winning trophies and championships for the city. I honestly, that's all I care about. That's all I care about is winning trophies for the city, and nothing else matters to me. And when changes need to be made, I'm willing to make them as long as they're to that end.
We're visiting with Jeff Berding, FC Cincinnati president and GM here on the King's Hammer Hotline, coming to you from the Cincy Shirt Studios. And I listened to the press conference today, Jeff, talking about positivity and talking about a style of play. Is there a particular style of play that you're looking more forward to? Is this going to be more of an attack-minding style of play? I know it feels like early on this season it's been very defensive, but is that something you're actively seeking out?
Well, a little bit of two different questions. So let me address them. Number one, when we built our roster, we did a lot of analytical analysis. And we felt that based on our resources, when we studied the league, we were going to spend a little bit more on the defensive side than on the offensive side, because we felt that if we were a very good, strong defensive team, a good defensive team, you can be in games, and you can compete to get a result. And to be fair, I think our play against LAFC and our play against Red Bull showed that if you're a good defensive team, you can be in it till the very end. We just spent $150 million on the franchise fee. We're spending $250 and plus land, maybe as much as $300 million on the stadium. That's $450 million. Throw in another 30 for the training center in Milford, 480. There's some additional costs. It's maybe up to $500 million. We don't have, you look at some of the other teams and, who paid 20 million, 50 million, 70 million, have free stadiums. Obviously they have a lot more resources. We get into our new stadium, be a whole different picture. And so we were going to spend more on defense and build the foundation and know that we'd be able to add some of those key offensive pieces over time. But having said that, we do have a number of players who have had a high level of success, be it in MLS or in other first division clubs in the world, where we felt like offensively we would have the opportunity. I don't think we've maximized by any measure the talent that we have in the locker room, but from a roster build standpoint, that is always how we built the club. The second part of your question, we want to have a bit of an offensive identity. Listen, I don't think anyone could watch our games and walk away with an impression of how we want to attack, how we want to play. It's just, it hasn't been there. And we need to begin to build that. It sets our players up for success, and it starts to build a competitive, attractive style of play that our fans, will want to see. We're not going to get there overnight. This is a process, but there's no question we feel we have the players in the locker room to have a much higher level of success. And I'm not talking about wins and losses and draws. I'm talking about in terms of how we play. We can maximize much better the abilities in the locker room than we have today.
Jeff, this is Bill again. I'm going to try to pull a lot of things you said together here into some sort of a question that I'm trying to ask. You've talked about, there's a lot of different pieces that I want to try to incorporate here. You've talked about wins and losses, aren't the reason, the record is not the reason that we've made this decision at this time. You've talked a lot about culture, and I think a lot of our listeners are still trying to figure out exactly what culture means to you. And then we've talked about, Yo taking the mantle and going forward and finding success as a club and winning trophies. So I guess my question is as we look forward over the next month, 2 months, maybe the rest of the season, depending on timing, what does success look like for Yohan? And, is that about wins and losses? Is that about creating culture? And what does that culture look like? Is it about the playoffs?
Yeah, I get the question. I get the question. Number one, let me start working backwards. Our goal is to earn a playoff berth in the first 2 years, to have the opportunity to go all the way to the end of the season competing for the playoffs, and have an opportunity to advance into the playoffs, where then it's, a single elimination like the Open Cup, and our club has been very blessed with a level of success that we saw in 2017. Having said that, and that is the goal that the players believe is possible. But that is not how we're measuring Yohan. I want to be clear. We have confidence in Yohan. We've asked him to be a caretaker builder, to take where we are and build from it. Number one, with an immediate focus on building a foundation of a more positive culture, a positive energy, and number two, begin to build an identity and a style of play. We have confidence in Yohan. He's a student of the game. He's very well respected in his character. He's He's open. He's honest. He has a clear tactical philosophy on how he wants to play. He has clear plans for training sessions to maximize our player development. He's respected by the other staff and our players. He's been at FC Cincinnati for a number of years now, understands our supporter culture, the organic nature of how our club has been built, the values, and certainly our ambition for long-term success. And so we believe he's going to build the foundation of culture, the foundation of a bit of an identity. And when we do have a permanent new coach, that new coach will be stepping in with much stronger foundation than where we are today.
Jeff, we've got the ability to take some phone calls from fans. Are you up for that? You want to hear from some folks?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, Rob Pierce standing by, ready to take your call. 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK, FC Cincinnati fans. This is your chance to ask Jeff questions about today's news and about the club in general. Watching the press conference today, Jeff, you mentioned that this could be a couple months as far as a timeline, as far as the new hire goes. Is this somebody that you're expecting to be in place by the playoffs, or is this really just about getting the right candidate and making sure you do your due diligence?
The most important thing when a club is in this position is to make the right next move. There's no rush. The next coach is likely to be a key leader who probably takes our team into this brilliant new stadium where we and our fans are going to invest heavily. We're going to do a worldwide search. I mentioned that MLS experience is a plus, but not a requirement. But we're going to take our time and get it right. And we believe that Yohan and the commitment that he has from the staff and the players and the abilities that he brings to the table gives us the luxury of taking our time to get it right. To be fair, I think I said today that I wasn't going to put a deadline on it. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's a couple months, but the key thing is to get it right. No one likes to be in this position as we found ourselves today, but this is the next stage in the evolution of FC Cincinnati.
Again, we've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK. This is your chance to ask Jeff Berding questions about the orange and blue. 513-399-KICK. Again, that number, Jeff's here, willing and ready to take some calls. In fact, let's welcome in Logan to the show. Logan, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. You have a question for Jeff?
I do, yeah.
Go ahead, Logan.
Now that Alan Koch has been let go, what is the plan for hiring a new coach? Like, what are you guys looking for?
Thank you, Logan. I've tried to talk about it. We believe that the foundation of all success starts with a strong culture, a club-focused culture. I promise you that everyone in the front office shows up every day motivated to help build this club, where they believe appropriately that they're contributing in the building of a legacy that'll be much bigger than ourselves. That is what sets us up for success. It has worked on the business side. We need to have that same mentality and that same culture on the soccer side. We want an experienced leader, someone who's done it before. We're not looking to go with a projection. So someone who is experienced, who's experienced success, but has a proven track record of being a leader that establishes a strong culture within the locker room is what our focus is as we begin this effort.
These phone calls are they're flying through now, Jeff. We've just Rob, there's got to be a quicker. All right, let's go. We've got Jamie who's joining us now on the Kings Hammer Hotline. You're on with Jeff Berding. Jamie, welcome to CST.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. You?
Hi, Jamie.
I'm good. Hey, so my question for you, Jeff, is if the morale in the locker room is not the best, what can we as fans do so that the guys know that we are there and that we support them through all of this change? What do you think is the best way for us to show them that we support them?
That's a great question.
Thank you, Jamie. Well, listen, it's fortunate that we have a home game this weekend. I think it's going to be the earliest kickoff in the history of our club, an afternoon game. And the ticket sales have been strong. The weather looks like it's going to be terrific. And we hope to have, that electric environment led by our marvelous Bailey leadership that sets the tone for a great environment. Let's be honest, success can lead to success, and sometimes change, sets a new course. And we're certainly hoping that the change creates a lift. We're at home. We're going to have our home fans after 3 tough road games, and we hope that gives a bolt of energy on top of the change. That the players know that notwithstanding these tough moments we've had recently, that our supporters that make FC Cincinnati so unique are still behind them. The players want to succeed for this city, and I think getting back into our home environment at Nippert and hearing from the fans can only push them in a manner that we can achieve some goals and some success that have been hard to come by of late, for sure.
We appreciate the call, Jamie. We've got a few more here, Jeff. You got some time?
I'm fine.
All right.
It's all good.
Let's welcome in Adam to the show. Welcome to CST. Adam, you're on the King's Hammer Hotline with Jeff Berding.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi there.
What's on your mind?
I had a question. What was the overall reaction from the team this morning when you told them the news?
That's a good question, Adam. So let me say, I think Adi put a tweet out that, no one likes to see someone lose their job. But I will say that I think players understood that a change offered a fresh start, and that sometimes adversity can strengthen you if you have the will to grind it out. I think they are excited with Johan, that they know he has ideas, that as I said earlier, he definitely has some ideas in terms of how he wants to play, and he's committed to a level of consistency in terms of what the approach will be going forward. I think that they know that they have something to prove, and they're looking for under Johan to really set a plan up to work them hard, to hold them accountable in a trusting environment where they have the best opportunity to maximize their potential, playing guys in their natural positions, and giving us the best chance for success. So I don't want to say that it was embraced at the expense of Alan. That's not my point. But it's certainly, I think, the players embraced the opportunity for this to be a new day with a fresh start.
All right, we got another question here. This is let's welcome in Jonah to the show. Jonah, welcome to CST. You're on with Jeff Berding on the King's Hammer Hotline.
Hello, man. Hey, Jeff. I'm just wondering. I got a question for you. There are some parts of this fan base that were talking about Koch. They were not happy with him. I was wondering if the fan base had any influence on the decision to let go of him.
Hey, you went out for just a quick second. Can you repeat just the second part of that, please?
Sure. He was wanting to know if the fan base had anything to do with your decision in making this decision and letting go of Alan.
No, not at all. Honestly, I wasn't aware that the fan base had that position. No, I'm blessed to be entrusted by Carl Lindner and our ownership group to be the president, to be their partner. and we try to make decisions in what is best for the club. I tried to address it here just in terms of building the foundation, building the culture. It's a constant evaluation process. There was no flip of the switch. The deterioration that we saw happened over time. I was spending a little bit more time around the team and around Milford and traveling to the games to have a better eye and a better ear to, how we were doing. And at the end of the day, this is the decision that our ownership group and I believed was necessary. It's not easy, and we certainly appreciate everything that Alan brought to this club. And I don't just mean, we had on-field results, but he was also great with the fans, and he was great with the media, and he had plenty of supporters that he earned over time. And I've worked very hard during this process to not speak critically, just speak to the reasons why we felt that this was absolutely necessary. And, I offer respectfully that, we're inside it every day.
Mm-hmm.
The players are inside it every day. We probably have the best eye to exactly what's going on and not just perceived what's going on. And at the end of the day, this was the FC Cincinnati decision that we believe is necessary to build that foundation that can set us up to achieve our ambitious goals.
Well, Jeff, we really appreciate you spending some time with us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We're always appreciative of all the time you ever give us because we know how busy you are. I know this isn't the easiest day in the world for you, so we really do appreciate you spending a few minutes with us.
Hey, guys, let me just say,
Sure.
You guys are a big part of our club. To my knowledge, you guys really weren't around until FC Cincinnati came about, and you've helped build the soccer culture in this city. And I have enormous respect for each of you for helping to be a part of that. This club didn't get to where we are by ourselves, by our owners and by our staff. It's been a community building project where all of us believe in our city and all of us value what we're building. And I mean that. Our supporter groups, the Pride, the Interstadt, in each of our supporter groups, our fan advisory council, and Cincy Soccer Talk. All of our youth clubs, we're all in this together. And so, yeah, we have hard days like this sometimes. And it's incumbent on me to come out and talk to the people that are building our club and to explain what we're thinking. And some people will think we got it wrong, and I respect that. And some people will think we got it right, and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, we're all moving in the same direction, which is to fight and represent this city. And I appreciate the role you guys play.
Well, thank you, Jeff. We appreciate it. And get some rest because I know you've got some large work ahead of you. We really appreciate you being with us here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk.
Okay, guys. Thank you much. Good night.
That's Jeff Berding joining us here on the King's Hammer Hotline. We've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK. 513-399-KICK. What did you make of today's announcement that Alan Koch has been fired by FC Cincinnati? We were on the podcast last night, Bill and Brad and I, and it was would spirited be the right word, Bill? That opening segment talking about what's going on with the club, and then to find out today that the news dropped that it happened. I mean, it was pretty quick.
Yeah, I have to admit I was surprised. I'm not surprised that it happened. I guess it seemed like it's been kind of trending that way for a while. You could definitely sense there was some trouble in the locker room. Jeff used the word culture several times, but the culture was struggling for sure. You could see Alan questioning the players, and the players, some of them questioning him, and of course some of them, saying some very positive things that sort of maybe left pieces out that made you wonder why certain things were not being said. So in the end, it seemed like there was some problems there, and this didn't surprise me. But at the same time, I kind of thought, we might see a home game, or, just because, when you start to win, some of these things kind of solve themselves sometimes.
Yeah.
So if this wasn't a really significant problem within the locker room, a cultural issue, and people were just frustrated about the losses, then maybe some wins and some goals would have cleaned things up. Obviously, the club, Jeff, whoever was involved in this decision, Carl Linder, I'm sure, felt that this wasn't repairable. And if once you come to that conclusion, I guess it really doesn't matter when you make the decision. Any moment beyond now is wasted time. So I guess I applaud them in the sense that once they did make the decision, they seem to have moved pretty quick.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brad. You're muted somehow. I don't know what happened. Did you turn your mic off? Well, we can't hear you.
Must have.
Oh,
I'm
there you
back.
go.
I'm sorry. I want to thank Jeff for coming on and really defending his decision because it's a tough one. It's a very public decision, one that's going to generate some disagreement among the fan base, among the national soccer media as a whole. Because you really don't see dramatic decisions like that, especially in a expansion franchise. But I do appreciate him coming on. But I want to take away some kind of keywords that he said because he kept repeating the word culture. Some of our fans on social media were trying to see if we could dig deeper, and we were trying to. But he said some key phrases to me, especially when we were talking about Johan and what success looked like for Johan and what he was trying to get back that might generate some of that culture, build that back up within the team. And there were a couple things that I took off of is that he was definitely emphasizing the training sessions, that he had a plan for these training sessions, and that would help encourage tactical development, which a lot of us have seen. We feel that's been lacking. Jeff even said, really paraphrasing what he was saying, basically the offensive tactics weren't there. We were missing that direction going forward. And then, and really the final point that he made is that he said, Johan has ideas. And I think that a lot of us have seen in the last, really this season and in the last half of last year, is that there was a, we're talking about that identity or those creative offensive ideas going forward. We just didn't see them built into the squad. So I think, you're talking about culture, but I think you're talking about the foundation. You're talking about the tactics. I think we can all agree that Alan's a good guy and he's done so much with the media, with us, making himself available, making the players available. But I still think, it's a soccer business. And I think that you're talking about the training, the tactical development, those ideas. I think a lot of us agree that those have been lacking this year.
As I mentioned, we've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Get in touch here. We've got plenty of lines open for you to have your say on today's news regarding Alan Koch being fired by FC Cincinnati. Let's welcome in Max to the Kings Hammer Hotline. Max, welcome to CST.
Nick Superling, how are you?
I'm doing well, Max. How are you?
I'm not bad. I would like to come on CST and publicly announce how wrong I was, that trusting the process is something we should do, because turns out I was wrong.
Yeah, we're going to have to come up with a new line, I guess.
Yeah, I worked really long and hard learning that accent too, and I'm going to miss those cheekbones.
Fair enough. Okay. How do you really feel, Max, about this? Because this is never easy to have a club go through this.
No, look, so I'm like the quintessential Mr. Let's be positive about FC Cincinnati. And I'll say, let's spin this in the direction of, this is a positive move. So something wasn't working out clearly, right?
Yeah, yep.
I wanted to trust the process. I wanted to say that, everything was going to work out. We gave Koch enough time, and, he'll figure it out. Clearly, something went wrong. I don't like the idea of dumping our manager this soon, but it just wasn't working. So sometimes the positive move is to make a change when you need to, and it looks like we've done that. And, as much as, as fans, we can only look from the outside. Maybe a silver lining is acknowledging, I don't know, I'm going to sound like a toady here, but the bravery of the club to go ahead and make a move that's difficult and is going to be questioned by a lot of people, to make a move that we think is going to be positive for the club and make some changes. and I hope our resident super attractive Yohan Dame is going to make some positive changes here and light a fire under the players. What do you guys think? I just tuned in. I imagine there's been some takes flying around, but how do you really feel, Nick Superman?
Well, we kind of talked about it a little bit last night on the podcast, which many people probably won't hear now because that's old news. but no, I thought that you're right. Something wasn't working, right? I mean, to go, and I know it's not just about results, wins and losses, but to go as long as they have without scoring a goal was frustrating to watch. It was hard to watch just them being on the field with one another. It just seemed like there was no cohesion. It didn't seem there was any kind of harmony going on with this club. So I think personally it was the right move. Obviously hindsight's 2020, but some of us questioned it too last summer when it was announced that he was going to be making the move to Major League Soccer. A coach who had no Major League Soccer experience. Obviously he earned the right to be the guy this year with the run they went on last summer. So I understand it from that aspect, but this is a good opportunity for the club to have a clean slate. It's still not late. It's still not too late that they can get this ship turned around. I mean, we've seen it in years past where teams make moves in July and August. I mean, last year, DC United was in last place in the Eastern Conference, and they skyrocketed up the Eastern Conference. Now, I'm not saying that FC Cincinnati are going to do that because clearly they don't have a guy named Wayne Rooney on their team. But there's no reason why they can't fight for the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference. That's my take. Brad, do you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Or go ahead, Max.
No. I want to hear what Brad has to say.
Okay.
Is that your kids in the background, Matt?
I know. I'm trying to listen through the kids. But
ask Tara what she thinks.
No.
Yeah, we got a little Irish pub music going on back here. No, Nick, I think what you said is spot on, and I also, I do think we have the personnel to get it done. I think we can make a late run and at least make the playoffs. I don't know what'll make the fans happy ultimately. I try to manage my expectations. Maybe this is a hot take here, but I think that, for me personally, I'm just happy to be here. I make no excuses for failure, but, I still see that we're making a Cinderella run here. And, my role that I'll carve out for myself as a fan is to suspend my disbelief and believe in whatever it is we're doing here until I'm given zero reasons to do so. And, I don't like to see Koch gone, but I think this is a move that says that the club believes in itself. And you know what else? Speaking of believing in something, on the 25th, there's going to be this little thing called an Ope out. And if you buy an Ope shirt and you're wearing an Ope shirt on the 25th in Nippert, maybe even in the Bailey, cheering for the club, you're going to look like a hero. A hero that the club needs. So take yourself over to 90 Lions Big Cartel shop and buy yourself a $10 Ope shirt. Hashtag Ope the Nip.
All right.
I know, Nick. I know.
You're going to be a legend in Jonah's eyes now.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Max.
But not the Jonah.
No. This is a collaboration between Free Def KLR and yours truly, Das Hawks in the building. You get me?
Well, tell
these new developments have actually made me realize I got to make some more pointed songs. We've got some goings on, and that's the other thing. Like maybe this reset will give the fans something to cheer about because we've had a pretty bad run, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that's attracted so many fans has been, FC Cincinnati, and I have a lot of non-soccer fan family and friends, and they said, the one thing that really attracts people to FC Cincinnati is the fact that they win. I don't want to celebrate I don't want to celebrate fair weather fanism, but there's a reality where if you're not producing the results in your product, people aren't going to pay attention.
Sure.
The reality of it is part of what made FC Cincinnati such a successful project is people tuning in, busting seats, believing in something that's, unabashedly positive. When we're not getting it done on the field, it's hard to sell that as a hope. So hope rhymes with hope. And if you take yourself over to NikeLionRadio.BigCartel.com, you can get yourself an Hope shirt for $10. Pre-orders end tomorrow.
All right.
Max, I'm going to send you the bill for all these free ads.
Yeah, no kidding. Take it easy, Max. We appreciate you calling in, buddy.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
That's Max on the Kings Hammer Hotline. We've got phone lines open, 513-399-KICK. Let's go back to the Kings Hammer Hotlines. Welcome in Nick to the show. Nick, welcome to CST.
Hey, Soups. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. Jeff talked today, and the players have mentioned it, about playing in the position that they're comfortable with and used to. And what does that formation look like that we weren't getting under Alan? By my count, it might be a 4-3-3, which would be a lot more aggressive, but I was just curious if you guys had any thoughts of what we might see on Saturday or the weeks to come.
I think Brad just perked up right there with that question. I think for starters, I would like to see a 4-3-3 personally. At this point, you haven't scored a goal in forever. Let's just go for it, right? I mean, what do they have to lose at this point?
To me,
I agree.
The formation's key, but it's the underlying tactics that are the bigger issue. I think we've complained that Alan Cruz, I've done it in my player ratings, that he's out of position. I would like to see him more move centrally, take a spot, of Bertoni or Oyua. But I think the biggest beef that we have is there's no clear direction going forward. Take a look at Brad Goff's talking tactics this week. We've been seeing it for a long time. There's no off-the-ball movement. How often last year did we spout that when Ledesma had the ball, nobody else was moving? And they were just kind of waiting on Ledesma to do something. That's rolled over into this year. We need a coach in here who's going to come in and drill in the off-the-ball movement, creating spaces behind players that are going to open up the channels for Fernando Adi to run into and other players to run into. That's more what I'm looking for than any specific formation, because, formation is key. We can put different central midfielders in there to do different roles. But it's those underlying tactics. It's are we running a single pivot or a double pivot? It's are we running inverted wingers or not? There's so many different little nuances that you just can't explain in a formation, but yet we're not seeing tactically on the field from our players that needs to happen if we're going to be successful.
Bill, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry.
Go.
If I could jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
Ahead.
Nick. This is your call, man.
Your call, man.
Yeah, I completely agree that the system needs to be improved or at least defined for the players. There were so many times, and Tack Talk has highlighted so many of the individual errors that have created problems for the rest of the team because players were unaware of the positioning that they should be in. And I think the buck stops with the head coach, and I think that's why Alan eventually, took the loss today. But I completely agree that the system is just as important as the formation.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate the call, Nick.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
That's Nick on the Kings Hammer Hotline. Did you want to add anything about a formation there, Bill?
I'll pivot a little bit like Brad did and say I'm less concerned about the formation, but rather than get into the tactics discussion, what I would say is I think right now, answering his question more directly about players playing in their position, I feel like the roster we have today is balanced oddly. I don't know that there's really a formation that we could play that really makes sense with 7 holding mids. So, something probably has got to change, and it'll be interesting to see when we get into transfer window times, because we've probably missed this one, obviously. What do we do to adjust with some of the new ideas that Yo supposedly has?
I think there are still key things that they're key pieces still on this team.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there's definitely weapons. So I think that there's an opportunity here, not just for Yohan to put his tactical touch on the club, but maybe if that new manager can get in here sooner than later, he'll be able to take stock of what he has and then make the appropriate decisions. So, but again, like I said, to me, just the small things weren't there.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Phone lines open 513-399-KICK, 513-399-KICK. Oh, we've got a caller on the line. Hi, welcome to CST. Who's this?
Oh, hey boys, it's Bill Grandesco.
Oh, hey Bill, how are you?
Look, I come on your podcast every now and then, and I'm a silly boy. I like to joke around, but I think we can all agree today's been a pretty rough day to be an FC fan. Am I right?
Yeah, it's not been the best day for sure.
Yeah, and here's the thing: whether you were pro Koch or anti Koch, at this point it doesn't matter. Jeff Berding said it best. It's time to turn over a new leaf. It's time to move forward, and things are about to change for better or worse. And I think as fans and as supporters, we have got to come together. We have got to push for solutions. We got to push this club to be better. And I think there's one key thing missing. One thing Nippert Stadium needs to be better. And do you know what that is?
Oh, I'd love to hear that, Bill. What is it?
Little Caesars. I am sick and I am tired of eating that sweet, saucy La Rosa's pizza. We got Koch out. Now it's time to get Buddy out. Who's with me? You want to get some Little Caesars action going? It's $350 to own a franchise.
That number seems a little low, Bill. $350, is that right?
Now, my friend Rick is going to get us in on the ground floor. We get our own franchise in Nippert Stadium. You call Berding back up and you tell him we want some Little Caesars pizza. We want the crazy bread. We want it all.
Hot and ready.
Hot and ready. Yeah, that's right.
Hot. Oh, I tell you what, boys, I am very, very hot and ready. But you know who's not hot and ready?
Who's that?
That would be one of the potential replacements, a loser down in Orlando who I hope we never hire, and his name is James O'Freakin Connor.
Yeah. He's not so ready, huh?
No, he is not hot. He is not ready. I mean, he might be hot. That's why he's always wearing those dumb hats. But look, I want to, once we get the Little Caesars and, we get this new coach, Mr. Dammit, I think he's going to be pretty good. But I'm keeping Coach Koch in my thoughts. I really hope that he didn't take the news hard today. I hope he's not drowning his sorrows out at a bar somewhere, because then he might run into Adi doing shots.
Oh, geez.
That could get pretty awkward.
Oh.
And I'm not talking about shots on goal, because we know he ain't got those.
Oh, wow. Oh man. Bill's bringing it tonight, everybody. Wow.
Oh, yeah, boys. You know it. Hey, we got nowhere to go but up. We are no longer Koch blocked.
Oh, man. Bill, you going to be at the game this weekend?
That's a great question. I was on the Bailey Facebook page trying to secure me a wristband, but I think I got blocked and deleted from there. So I'll see what I can do. If I can skirt around the parole officer and get out there. It is quite early. I do have church, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, well, enjoy the game, Bill. Thanks for calling. We appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, God bless. Y'all take care now.
You too. God bless. That's Bill Grandisto giving us a call on the King's Hammer hotline. Always a pleasure hearing from Bill. He's quite the character, isn't he, Bill Wolf?
He is. But he's always hot and ready.
He is always hot and ready. Got to get on that Little Caesars franchise.
$350. I'm going in, man.
Right. Let's go back to the King's Hammer hotline. Let's welcome in. We talked to this gentleman last night. Kevin Wallace joining us here on CST. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Feeling a little humble, Kevin?
I guess my Hail Mary pitch didn't save him, did it?
No. I don't know how many people have listened to that show yet, so maybe a lot of people don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, I mean, obviously you called in last night. You made some compelling arguments about keeping Alan Koch, but obviously Jeff Berding and FC Cincinnati didn't see it your way.
And we know they're the show, so.
Oh, sorry, Bill. I'm going to step on you here for a second.
You good?
No, I've come around to it. I had to throw out the devil's advocate view last night, but I'll tell you, if anything is convincing, it's this. It is looking at the former players' reactions on social media today. If there was any indication as to what was going on in a Koch locker room, go check out Lance Lang's Instagram story.
Yeah, that was pretty evident how he felt today. Yeah, that was that was. I guess I'm surprised, but not that surprised, Kevin. I mean, we've seen Richie Ryan in newspaper articles recently come out and say some things about the staff that were kind of eyebrow raisers, but to see that from Lance today was, I don't know how I feel about that, because I do at some point feel like, I mean, Alan has given a lot to this club, right? But at the same time,
right,
it's a slippery slope, I guess.
Yeah, and he wasn't the only one either.
Sorry, Bill, I'm gonna let you go now.
Yeah, we just always want to talk at the same time, man. No, I was gonna say it wasn't the only one, right? I mean, we also saw Kadeem Dakers made a less loud comment about it, being that it was typed, but and not Instagram. But yeah, there was definitely a few players with some comments, and some other ones who quietly showed some support for the decision as well. So it is concerning. It does make you realize that there was probably more going on than what we were seeing. The stuff that was coming out in the recent weeks is maybe more the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Right now, you can go, Kevin.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I guess there is like a hint of a somber tone in all this, but I got to tell you, I'm feeling positive. There have been very few moves that this club has made that I would describe as bad. There's certainly been disagreeable steps or whatever, but I don't think they've ever made a bad step. And especially when you contrast this move with, say, the Reds and the Bengals, or even the Bearcats, honestly, at least the basketball side of things, just not accepting the mediocrity, not accepting the, well, they did a lot for us in the past, types of arguments. And I appreciate that. It's refreshing. I mean, obviously this wasn't, 100% tied to the losing streak or whatever, but I trust Berding and I trust Sassano there to get us the right guy in place. It sounds like the players are going to rally behind Yo. So honestly, I'm really optimistic about the future. Honestly, you can't do much worse than the last 5 games. So
That's true.
Let's see what we got.
I agree with you 100% there, Kev. Appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Have a good one, guys.
As I say, yeah, it's interesting. He brought up, the players rallying behind Yo, and I think coming back around to a question we were asked earlier that I don't know that I responded to, but I think I'm actually looking to this Saturday to really set the tone moving forward. We've talked a little bit about what we've seen on the pitch as far as tactics and frustrations and various other things. And to me, I would say part of the reason why it's been hard to watch FCC is I just feel like a lot of times when I'm watching the players play, they lack joy. I mean, even last year, when there was some rumblings, there was some, potential issues going on, but we were winning all these games. The players truly did seem to enjoy playing. And this year, it's just not felt that way. Obviously the record affects it as well. When you're winning, that's one thing. Winning is a good deodorant, right? I mean, it covers up a lot of stink. And this year we're not winning. So the players just seemed joyless out there. And whether we win or lose on Saturday, whether we see a transformation, which is probably unrealistic for any of us to expect out of Yo in such little time, if at least the players seem to have some joy back, I think to me that will set the tone moving forward.
Maybe it'll free him up a little bit in front of goal.
Well, I think a big part of this is direction. If you've ever been in a professional environment, if you've been in one that's good and one that's bad, I think the clear thing is the leadership and how that leaders such a culture. And when people just kind of don't have an idea of necessarily what the leader wants, you tend to see poor results and you tend to see a bad culture because they're just confused and they're just trying to kind of make a bet as it go. But a lot of times when you have a leader who you don't necessarily have to micromanage, but if you have a clear understanding of what they're looking to do, you get that buy-in, you get that belief, then you start to see that culture go up. And that goes into what Jeff said about Johan. He's got an idea for some of these training sessions. He's got some of the idea for technical development, and he has some ideas. And I just think that's what this team's been missing.
Well, speaking of ideas, any ideas on where FC Cincinnati should be going as far as the next head coaching candidate goes? We had an article today. Paul Barvinchak from Cincinnati Soccer Talk broke it down. We had a list of 5. Now, we narrowed that down from a list of about 10 of people we thought were serious. We saw Pat Brennan put out a name and David Moyes today as a potential candidate for FC Cincinnati being the head coach. That would be an eye-opener. And of course, being the terrible college soccer person I am, I did not know that Moyes had a nephew playing for Northern Kentucky University. That is pretty remarkable. So we have a list over at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. A couple names on there. Tab Ramos is one I think everybody would like. Probably not going to happen. It would be really tough to pry him away from the US U20 group. We've seen Alan Pardew is a name that's kind of interesting. Has experience over in the Premier League with Newcastle and West Ham United, and previously of West Bromwich Albion. Obviously, he brought over Crystal Palace a couple years ago and played in the friendly there here in Cincinnati. So he's a name that I think a lot of people would be excited about. There's some other names out there we've seen floating around as well. Brad, anything that really jumps out at you or that you want to put out there?
Well, I think if you just listen to Jeff and where sounds like where he's going, he's looking for an experienced head coach.
Sure.
So I don't think it's going to come from the USL ranks like we saw with Mark Dos Santos going to Vancouver, James O'Connor going to Orlando, Alan with us. I just think that a lot of times when you see in other sports or other things, when you've got maybe a player manager, you go to that kind of that hard ass. So you kind of go to a little bit different here. So I think you're probably going to see more of an experienced head coach come in and try to get the things right. That Alan Pardew, definitely an interesting name to me. David Moyes, I wasn't necessarily thinking about that. I could see some things there. I'm not sure if that nephew connection is enough to get that happen, but you've seen, a lot of these managers have seen what's gone on with FC Cincinnati. They've seen the crowds. Managers like to manage in these types of environments. If you don't, you're in the wrong business. So I think you're going to go that route. I don't see a Dave Sayerkin coming from North Carolina. I think he's on the backside of his career. Not sure we want that. Tab Ramos has that World Cup coming up, possibly after that. But again, that's another wild card. I definitely think it's going to be that international manager. Somebody even told me Andre Villas-Boas for former Tottenham and
Andre Villas-Boas.
Yep.
He's an interesting name.
Yeah, but I think it's going to come kind of from that group. I think that's just a very logical step. You've got Luke Sassano, who's got experience in Major League Soccer, both as a player. Now he's getting it on the front office side of things. So you got some of the guys that kind of understand some of the cap rules. Jeff's talking about some of these extra contributors coming and help him out. So I think you're going to see a bigger name. And like Jeff said, one that he expects to be in charge going into that stadium in a year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as managers go, we don't need, and I don't think Jeff is necessarily looking for a big name, somebody who's going to, excite fans just from the name alone. That could be the case, but I don't think it's required. We certainly sell tickets without that. I think the word he's used is proven. So he wants somebody who is out there, as Brad said, not a USL coach, but somebody who's either been in the MLS working at that level, or probably more likely international, just because of the fact that in the MLS he can't just reach out and poach a coach from another team, and they kind of get mad about that stuff. But for sure, this has got to be somebody with experience. And to be fair, John Harkes did not have a lot of coaching experience when he came to FCC. And to be honest, Alan Koch didn't either. I mean, he had some USL experience, but he certainly didn't have it at the top level. So, I think in hindsight now they're looking for somebody with some different skills than what they've had, and they're going to take it slow and find somebody, as he said, with a proven record. Now, that doesn't mean wins and losses. It just means somebody who's shown that they have the skills to work tactically, at a high level with what they have.
I'm going to repeat this again. We've said multiple times that the head coach is the fourth DP in this league. You've seen what Tato Martino can do in Atlanta. You've seen what Bob Bradley can do in LA. So I think that Jeff's not a dumb guy. He sees that. And I think that as long as he gets one of these prominent managers with an understanding of the roster cap and the rules, that he just can't sign and release guys just on whims. I think that's going to be the key to success.
Yeah, hopefully Luke can help with that a little bit now that he's been involved. So,
yeah, again, I don't know if you necessarily need to get somebody who is coming from the Premier League or is coming from somewhere over in Europe. Somebody who has a proven track record of winning really should be probably your main priority, right? Somebody who has shown a track record of going and winning trophies. I can't say that Alan Pardue has that track record. Does he have a track record of getting teams promoted over in the English pyramid? Sure. But I don't know, for me, and Jeff said it on the show earlier tonight, he wants to bring a trophy to this city badly. And I just want a coach who has that pedigree. So a lot of names I'm sure you're going to be seeing floating around on social media. And, of course, we'll be keeping it tuned in. And if we hear any reports, we'll be for sure posting it over at Cincinnati Soccer Talk.com. I believe it's time we wrap up this podcast special tonight. Final thoughts, Brad Weigel?
I think Kevin Wallace made a great point, is that I agree with it. I think that today was a positive move for the club. We've all had or at least I've had concerns about Alan as far as this tactical side of things go. And even though he's been such a great person to deal with the media, with availability, just being I think a good guy, I just think that a change needed to be made. And I thank Alan for his time here and all he's done, and moving his family and having them go through this whole change from Vancouver to the Midwest. But I also credit Jeff Berding. How refreshing is it to hear a Cincinnati sports executive not take mediocrity or losing sitting down. And so I think that's the biggest thing to take away, is that Jeff and Carl Lindner and the ownership group, they are not going to quit until they get this thing on the right path.
Good stuff, Brad. Appreciate you being on the show on such short notice, pulling double duty on back-to-back nights. Really do appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you being available, and I'm glad you're here with us and that your daughter's back healthy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brad. That was very nice of you. Final thoughts from the Wolfman, Bill Wolf, tonight here on this CST pod special.
I think I'll echo a little bit of what Jamie brought up when she called in and talked to Jeff. At this point, the change has been made for better, for worse. It's a somber event, but it is also a time to move forward. And this Saturday, our boys in orange and blue will be there on the pitch. And what do we do? And I think, it's a time for us to rally behind the team. It's a time for us to show support, to get out into the stands. It'll be a beautiful day. It'll be, it'll be the first beautiful day of soccer we've had in Nippert Stadium all year, I think. And, great time to get out there and be loud and proud and show the guys that we're there for them.
Bill, as always, appreciate your fine efforts here on the show.
Always happy to be here.
Couple reminders. One, next week, our Monday night show is going to be live at Buffalo Wings and Rings out in Beachmont. So come out and check it out. We're going to be having special guest Spencer Ritchie joining us on 513 Day. So come out to 509 Ohio Pike next week for our live show at 7 o'clock at Buffalo Wings and Rings. I'll be there. Bill will be there. Brad's going to be there. It's going to be a good time. So come check that out. And, of course, we've got foot golf coming up here this summer. Go get your teams registered at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/footgolf. It's $180 for your foursome. Right now, that price will go up later in the summer, so don't wait. Get in now while you can at that $180 price level. And, of course, Brad, all the proceeds going where this year?
Sports games for kids.
As always, We're a big fan of what Tom Grabo does there with sports games for kids. So again, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/footgolf. Our tremendous thanks to Jeff Berding of FC Cincinnati for joining us on such short notice this week or tonight on the show. We really do appreciate him spending some time with us here. We've been live from the Cincy Shirt Studios for Bill Wolf and Brad Weigel. I'm Subes, reminding you to watch your tackles, and we'll see you all next week.